So. I read them. I read them, I watched an 18 minutes long, meeting. Grief.
Forward.
18 or 19 minutes. It ended officially at like 7:19 or something. Yeah. Pretty quick. Ready?
Sure.
Is Cody on?
It's Cody.
Cody.
You hear Cody?
Cody's not
Well,
here.
we'll start with that.
Yeah.
All right, call to order. Sean.
Please stand for pledge allegiance and remain standing for a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation. Thank you. Please remain standing for our troops and for our local first responders. We go and the Ocean Fire Department, the fellowship, and all the other ambulance and fire providers. Thanks so much. Please have a seat.
Cody's here. So I just want to start off, I apologize. We do not have, we just have audio tonight. We do not have visuals as usual, having a bit of a technical problem. But we will try to speak in the mics as much as possible. Even if you're in the audience, sometimes we let people speak in the audience, but we're going to have to come up to the podium tonight. It's just one of those days where that stuff did not cooperate. So I apologize in advance.
And you'll run all the stuff. Anybody has a comment or anything?
Yes, I will let everybody know. Yeah, and I will share the agenda along with the meeting as just so we can follow along for that.
All right. The Zoom public is asked to remain muted during the meeting when the board is talking. If you do not wish to be seen on the board or the TVs or the YouTube recording, your camera must be turned off via Zoom. In-person public participants will be given the first opportunity to comment and ask questions on each agenda item that requires a board vote. The Zoom public participants will be given the second opportunity to comment and ask questions on each agenda item that requires a board vote. Zoom participants wishing to comment must raise their hand icon. Derek will let us know. State their name and must speak one at a time. All right. This is being recorded and uploaded later to the township's YouTube channel for viewing. Chairman's report. The board met in executive session prior to this meeting to discuss the legal matters. All right. Any public comment before we get started? If there's none, then emergency service reports. We go intern Chief David Lee.
Good evening, everybody.
Hello.
So we'll go over March 1st. March's numbers first, and then we'll go over April. So for the month of March, the monthly total calls for both townships was 2,165. East Goshen specifically was 1,146 in March. Year to date, as of the end of March, for East Goshen was 3,499, and total for both townships was 6,353. Some incidents that we handled in March were 24 police alarms, 1 aggravated assault, 2 burglaries, 10 frauds, 10 motor vehicle crashes, 4 disturbances, 3 drug offenses, 3 harassments, 17 suspicious conditions, 5 trespassing complaints, 16 well-being checks, 1 weapons offense, 7 health calls, and 23 traffic-related incidents. The total monthly calls for April were 1,895, specifically for East Goshen, there was 1,062. Year to date, as the end of April, was 4,561 for East Goshen, and for the department total, 8,248 calls. Specifically in April, some of those incidents involved 13 alarms, police alarms, 1 aggravated assault, 3 burglaries, 10 frauds, 25 motor vehicle crashes, 5 disturbances, 1 drug offense, 1 harassment, 5 retail thefts, 17 suspicious conditions, 2 trespassing complaints, 24 well-being checks, 18 mental health calls, one simple assault, and 8 traffic-related problems. One of those burglaries that were in East Goshen, in April was a, commercial burglary at, Patello's. There was forced entry overnight into the rear of Patello's. The actors got about $600 out of there. Through a joint regional investigation between our criminal investigation division and other departments throughout the region, certain subjects and suspects were identified and taken into custody later in Delaware. So a burglary ring of sorts. WeGo certainly has charges pending for the Potomac incident, but it's still ongoing investigation.
That sounds good. David, can I ask you a question?
Sure thing.
Before you go further, the 23 traffic incidents,
Yeah,
were they primarily in Westtown or primarily in East Goshen?
no, this business specifically East Goshen.
Oh,
Those
cool.
numbers, yes,
Okay.
specifically East Goshen.
Okay.
So I'm proud to announce that the department's unmanned aerial system, or otherwise known as the drone program, is taking shape. 8 members of the department were trained and received certification through the FAA as UAS pilots. Drone units have been proven a game changer for law enforcement over years and have proven to be a valuable tool. The department plans to utilize its drone for a variety of types of incidents, including missing persons, subject searches, accident investigations, and as an additional security measure at various community events going forward. And lastly, I just want to point out that Sunday, May 11th, began National Police Week. During this time each year, we recognize law enforcement officers across the country who lost their lives in the line of duty for the protection of others. In October of 2021, our own officer Josh Mikan lost his life as a result of contracting the COVID-19 virus while on duty. During National Police Week in 2023, Officer Mikan's name was added to the National Law Enforcement Memorial in Washington, D.C. The Westtown East Goshen Police Department honors Officer Mikan's service and ultimate sacrifice, along with all police officers who lost their lives in the line of duty. That's all I have. If you have any questions.
I was going to ask, if you don't mind, I know that you are implementing some changes in the department. I was wondering how those changes are being, how they're sussing out.
Yeah, so certain changes were made. They're progressing quite well. I'm having collaboration with the police union. There are some things that we're still working on and working through, but so far so good.
And how is, in general, would you say, how is overtime right now?
So overtime right now is a little high just because we have an officer that's out on a work-related disability. So that's increased the overtime. But again, working together with the police association, we've come up with some ways to limit the overtime that has occurred in the past.
Okay, thank you. That's really what I wanted to know.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Cody, have anything?
Cody, you good, Cody? Do you have any-
All good. I'll see him Friday.
Okay.
Great to see you Friday. All right,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Thank
Thank you
you
very much.
Have a good night. Safe.
Ready, Grant? Goshen Fire.
Good evening.
Hi, Grant. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, thanks.
So for the month of March in East Goshen Township, we had 28 fire responses, 8 fire police responses, and 197 EMS responses for a total of 233. For month of April, we had 11 fire responses, 6 fire police responses, and 219 EMS responses for a total of 236. Serious incidents in April, we assisted the West Whiteland Fire Company at 318 Ballard Terrace for a dwelling fire. We assisted the East Whiteland Fire Company 24 Immaculata Drive for a building fire. We had a dwelling fire at 1232 Wooded Way in East Goshen Township. And we assisted the Edgemont Fire Company at 1465 North Middletown Road for a building fire. We held our annual Mother's Day flower sale over the weekend. I think it went pretty well. We added around $7,000.
That's great. I have a quick question about the breakfast. Did I hear a bad rumor that the last breakfast in April was going to be, or the last breakfast in May is gonna be the last breakfast, or was April?
We don't have one in May, so April was.
April's the last one. Is that it for good? This
Uh,
point?
we are, we're working on our building project, our building renovation project, so originally we had thought that it might commence sometime during the summer. But the delay in what, hearing on the federal funding, application that we applied for, that's been pushed. So we've given the auxiliary the green light to hold them again in the fall, starting in September. And it'll sort of be a wait and see.
Okay, yeah, I was very saddened to hear that that was gonna be the last one. I thought. It's an option, it's an opportunity for people to come out and the community come out and see the fire department.
Yeah, but you know, when the building's going to be under construction, you know, there won't be enough
Unpractical.
and you know, we're seriously evaluating. How much do we invest in maintaining that, when we have so many other pressing needs for living quarters and things. We need to keep it on for system one.
Sure. Do you think that the breakfast eventually will go away once the construction commences?
I think there's a high.
And that will be it.
probability of that.
Okay. Keep us informed of that, if you don't mind, please.
Yeah, there's a
Thanks.
lot more to come with the building project, so. I don't probably supposed to say that the brains or. It's not like fun.
And of course, we have a township we have to go to for. Well, for permits and whatnot too.
Yeah.
Fortunately, you only have to chase down one for that one.
Mhm.
So that's great. Okay. Thanks, that's all I have.
Thanks. I just was noticing on page 6 of the report that of the falls by category for the
Yes.
month, that 45.7% were either false alarms or false calls.
Yes.
And I'm just curious, is there anything that the township can do to support you in that, or to reduce that high percentage of false calls, false alarms? My gut says that a lot of it has to do with one of the facilities that has an issue with their alarms.
So we track, in East Ocean, we track the 2 facilities that cause the most false alarms. Wayne Brady is working with them seemingly every day. And truthfully, the majority of those alarms are single occurrence residential alarms. They happen once, and you know, by and large, that's the you know, biggest cause. But there, in all of our townships, there's 2 or 3 businesses or living assisted living facilities that just keep happening, and Dwayne works as much as he can to get them, to get their systems fixed.
Are we still finding them?
Oh, yeah,
That's a question for
yes,
Yes.
folks.
yes. Still fine.
Yes, I mean, some of them were up in the top tier of fines at this point.
That was my question.
Yeah.
Is there any recourse when,
Yeah.
for
You
repeat
have to-
offenders,
you have
not
to
for one
answer
time?
Maybe we can talk about changing our ordinance so that instead of multiple alarms at a written warning level, perhaps we could change it so that we tighten it up a little bit more moving forward. I guess maybe that's a discussion we need to have.
So it was on a rolling 12-month basis, so, you know, if they kept happening. They kept getting fined, and it changed this year to a calendar year, so they got a clean start at the beginning of the year, so that was a bit of a step backwards.
How did that change?
When we did the fee schedule change,
Yeah, with the-
but maybe we could tighten it up a little bit instead of giving them multiple options.
anything would help.
Like one freebie, then second one?
Yes, one premium, one, and then right into the fines. I think that might be something we need to discuss.
I've talked to our other township, and I've used East Ocean as a model. East Ocean actually has pretty substantial ordinance against false alarms.
I mean, there's issues with doing it both ways. So I can write an email summarizing why we changed and you guys can make a decision for next year, but there was significant issues in both ways, but.
I remember that conversation you talked
Yeah.
about, how hard it is to track when everybody's on a different rolling schedule.
What also becomes timing wise, it does sometimes become unfair to the property depending on if there's bad timing there, but. I know Grant's looking at me like I have two heads, but you don't get the calls from these facilities.
I hear you.
Once you move in, it's the first one. That's it.
Thank you
Thank you.
very much for all you do.
How you doing with your ambulance subscription? The ambulance subscription program?
It's still down a bit. They're still trickling in. I can send you the most recent report on it. It's lower than last year.
We do a targeted Facebook ad for it.
We
City's
do,
Goshen.
we do. We probably haven't mentioned it in a while because,
Mhm.
letters went out. We can send another reminder out, but yeah, for some reason, it's an awful issue.
All right. Thank you.
I'll be contacting you sometime in the next 2 weeks about doing the ride along. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a good night, be safe.
All right, there's no public hearings tonight, so it'll be the financial report. And Dave.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As of April 30th, net pass through the general fund had year-to-date revenue of $5,242,923 and expenses of $3,825,476 for a net result of $1,417,447. And as of April 30th, general fund balance was $7,692,120. Versus the budget, or year-to-date April revenue finished $189,000 below budget. That shortfall was due to lower building permit income, property tax income, and real estate transfer revenue. It looks like possibly the uncertainty of the economic outlook, specifically the tariff impact and inflation, may be impacting the housing market locally and construction improvements. We will monitor that closely, but on a positive note, our EIT, Parks and Rec fees and alarm fees are steady or over budget to help offset those revenue shortfalls. Our year-to-date April expenses are $279,000 over budget. The drivers of those are primarily the unusually high snow expenses in Q1, as well as building repairs and sewer work, which we will be recharging back at the end of Q2 to the sewer operating fund. The 2025 snow budget, set at a 6.5% increase over the prior 3-year average, has surpassed the full year expectation. It's 108% of full budget. So the frequency and duration of the minor storms that we had and freezes this season increased the costs associated with the time and labor required to maintain the safe roadways in the township. However, versus prior year, which we finished with a surplus, our year-to-date April net results from operations are $40,000 or 2.9% higher than last year. So a couple of financial updates. We have a Portnoy update for sewer collections and refuse collections. EGT as of April year-to-date for the entire history of the Portnoy starting in 2022. We have recouped 60% or over $113,000 in delinquent balances sent to Portnoy.
Hold on 1 second. Barbara, turn off your mic, I think.
We're gonna be
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. We've collected over $113,000 of delinquent balances sent to Portnoy since 2022 for a net cost of $3,790.24. And we've also collected an additional $65,000 through lettering efforts mentioning Portnoy and collections efforts on behalf of East Goshen. On the audit front, we successfully completed the acceptance of liquid fuels 2024 submission for 2025 in conjunction with Public Works Clerk and Dana, my clerk. Over $526,000 awarded towards the general fund for liquid fuel approved expenditures for this year's budget. 3-year liquid fuel state audit from 21 to 23 was successfully passed that. And the 2024 East Goshen Township audit, as well as the financial audit for the municipal authority. Some of the good notes that are not in the year-to-date, which are positives, are we have 12-month Pliget notes, which we took out last December on behalf of the township to make sure that we were hedging our bet in case interest rates went down, which they are. They're currently 4.41% and going lower, and we locked in a note at 4.44%. So not included in the interest income in December will be $93,000 to the general fund, $89,000 to the capital reserve fund, and $76,000 to the operating reserve fund. In addition to the existing prime interest rates that you're seeing on a year-to-date basis. Transfer tax for May, it's come in already, will decrease the shortfall in the transfer tax revenue that's showing in April by an additional 30,000, which is positive. And our EIT revenue looks to outpace the budget in May already by over 100,000. A couple of other positive items are we have $48,000 of pension contributions returned to us from excess employer contribution balance since 2022. That was when Jim Kennedy recalibrated the MMA. And $28,000 of meeting room expenses will be transferred and paid from ARPA, which is currently in our general fund expenses. And probably another $223,000 of WEGO savings versus our budget. We had a 2024 surplus of $136,000. And the final budget, we had to put our budget in before WEGO did, and that was an additional $87,000 lower. So we've got some good things happening for this full year. So we may be looking currently at definitely a net and possibly a surplus.
Dave, can I ask a couple questions, please?
Sure.
On the first page here, other funds, the capital reserve fund, what is the $852,000 expense there?
It's primarily the equipment and the trucks and the gap vac. Gap vac itself was 500,000 of it.
The back truck,
Yeah,
okay. And how about a little further down, the sewer capital reserve fund? It looks like they had a $334,000 expense. What was going on there?
that's a transfer for the Supply Valley lining.
Oh, okay.
There's a Chester Creek lining project going on. So we
Yeah.
take it from the reserve to go to the MA, and then the MA pays it.
Do they increase their revenues to supplement that cost, that expense?
It's a question.
The municipal authority
Yeah.
increase it? No, it's a pass through. So it goes from the sewer reserve to municipal authority and right out to pay it.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead. No question.
Cody has a question.
You
Cody.
can go ahead, Cody.
Oh, thanks, Michelle and Pete. Hey, Dave, quick question for you. I don't have the number in front of me. What's our bond fund balance? And then also, we don't have any like pending projects to use that currently, right? That's been approved by the board.
We don't have any pending projects. Last I looked, it was about $825,000 in the bond. We are getting.
What do we
close
get
to
on interest per month on
our
that?
number, and
Yeah.
we need to either spend it or pay it back.
He asked what we get on interest per month on that.
Interest per month, it's about 4%.
4%.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Mhm.
So about 30,000.
What was that, Cody?
No, I was just doing the math. About $30,000 we get a month on that.
You know, good.
It'll be 4% annual, so 4% divided by 12.
Michelle?
All right, Dave, I was gonna ask you, if there's in the second page, first page, the second paragraph. Budgetary shortfall due to lower building permit. What does the revenue look like from the building permits? Are we, like, over last year? Can you give us an idea of how much we were bringing in at this point last year versus this year?
Sure, last year at this point, we had brought in 67,500. No, wait, that's alarm fees. Building permit fees, we had brought in $125,335, and now we're at $86,371. So we're 31% behind prior year. West Whiteland is 35% behind. West Town is actually 70% ahead of last year.
Okay,
So
lucky them. Go ahead.
So West Town's ahead, but what's left to build in East Goshen? How many more building permits we should actually pull in a township that's pretty much built out?
It's a lot of the permits are building permits for when somebody buys a new house. Or they,
Renovations.
yeah, renovations, to expand, put a porch or a pool in.
That's where most of that money's coming from, not anything.
Yeah, but
Okay.
Peter's point, I think it is, there's a lot of external factors going on, which I don't want to get into right now, but for the things we can control internally, and, you know, Kelly and I have talked about tweaking the process, because right now we take payment at the end of when the permit is done, so to speak. So one of the things in order to make sure we keep revenue flowing is to be able to take payment at permit application. Because a lot of times, if they have to pay a permit application, they have more of an incentive to go through and pick up the permit and pay for the permit. So you get into some of these, I don't think it's looking at it, I don't think it's a huge percentage why, but I think it is varying, and I think the external factors are there. But some of the things we can possibly take a look at internally to tighten up, you know, the work, you know, just collecting on the work we're actually doing. Versus having to wait for the customer to get back to us is something we're trying to tweak a little bit in order to help.
And I had one other question. So we have 108% increase in snow removal, but what is that in dollars? And Michelle will cover it for that.
So year-to-date, we are at almost $327,000, and last year the budget is $157,000. Last year, full year, we spent $198,000.
Okay, that was all, yeah.
I just wanted to go back to the building permit thing. So Derek, I know that you and I are talking about collecting money up front. Mark, can you tell us, legally, we're allowed to do that. Now, if the person doesn't go through with the permit and they ask for, they say, we're not moving forward with this permit at this time. How long do they have how long do we have to keep that permit on file so that they can pick it up and proceed with it at some point in the future? Can we keep 50% or a certain percentage of their permit fee as a non-refundable deposit for the administrative costs that were involved prior to issuing the permit?
Right, so the fees associated with permits would flow from the work that the township is doing in relation to that permit application. So if, and Derek and I spoke about obtaining the fees for these permits up front, which I don't have a problem with. I don't think there's any legal obligation to keep them on file for any particular time frame. I would suggest that if you wanted to keep a certain amount of money, if someone said, I'm not gonna move forward with my permit, that you just enact a policy concerning that. So it's not just something that, you know, it's done kind of individually, in every case, you know, it should be upfront and it should be noticed to individuals that are applying for those types of permits, because sometimes application fees can be fairly significant. So I guess the thought Derek and I had was if the fees are upfront, then individuals might be a little more inclined to try to get their permit because they paid the fee for it. So there's nothing problematic from a legal perspective for that.
The changes policy, will we need an ordinance or will we just have to agree to it?
No, I don't think it would be an ordinance. It could just be a resolution adopted by the board, depending on, you know, how the staff wanted to try to.
Yeah, I think the bigger issue is not, I think it could be a resolution. I think it's more of looking at the processes and making sure we foolproof as much as possible prior to implementation, that we're not missing anything as far as how we're thinking about it, the pitfalls, the processes themselves, and how we're going about it. I just want to make sure we're not trading one problem for the other. So it's more, to me, it's more of a staff issue, trying to look at the process and making sure we have it patted down as much as we possibly can. But I also don't want to set expectations like this is going to be, you know, a cure-all. As Dave said, given the percentages there, a lot of municipalities vary on this subject. And also, as Peter indicated, we are a fairly built out township. So a lot of the stuff we're going to be doing is smaller renovations and not these giant 600 home developments. So, but needless to say, it's something small that we can implement to at least know we're doing everything possible.
Are gonna have a fire. We are gonna have a fire department come to us for a permit.
Well, I was
We all
wondering,
also pay them a lot though, too, so.
no, I just was wondering how much you could realistically expect year over year for actually building and burn income. That's
Yeah,
all.
I don't think this is about, I will say, I don't think this is about creating any more income. I think it's
No,
just,
no, no.
it's just actually collecting
What you
the
can
income,
expect,
yeah, the
like-
revenue that we
Yeah,
do.
so
Yeah.
in the budget, we had 400,000, and over the last 3 years, we've done about 385,000 average. So it wasn't outside of the norm to put that in the budget.
Okay, yeah, that's okay. All right.
Thank you, Dave. We haven't been able to stump you yet.
Man.
Yep, we've tried.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes dated April 1st.
Second motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Cody,
No questions. Aye. Great
Yeah.
job as always, Jess.
I'm sorry, any public comment
Okay.
or question? All
Aye,
right,
okay.
all right.
5 ayes.
We have the treasurer's report. D, also.
The treasurer's report is for the weeks March 27th, 2025 through May 8th, 2025. Real estate collections, our EIT collections, real estate transfer tax, quarterly recharges, interest income, insurance dividends, rent, and public parks and rec registration fees drove our general fund revenue during this period. General fund expenses include the monthly WeGo contribution, boardroom upgrades, audit fees, insurance payments, monthly pension contributions, monthly computer service, and other routine operational expenses. Capital Reserve Fund expended $46,000 for blacksmith shop repairs, truck equipment, repair and lights, and repair of the 2018 paper wear plates. These costs are offset by $40,000 in revenue from the sale of a Public Works 2015 F-350. I had just got an email from Enterprise, and the average that they were getting on old vehicles, they were bragging about to me was 15,000. So that's why we don't use Enterprise.
It's what we have Mark working on.
Yeah, that's right. And sewer capital reserve fund receipts include $52,000 that was transferred from capital reserve for the sale of the RCSTP generator. It was replaced, that was actually deposited into the capital reserve fund. So we had to transfer it to the sewer capital where it should belong. $2,000 of infrastructure sustainability fund expenses for water sampling and pond treatments. And the ARPA fund, we had a $500 deposit towards the ABC appreciation event.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to move to accept the receipts for expenditures as presented in the expenditure register and as summarized in the treasurer's report.
All in favor?
No, just,
No.
we have to give a second.
I said.
I'll second it.
Cody still wants to do that.
Have to have some discussion, because I have a few questions.
Hey, discussion, okay.
Yep.
Go ahead.
So, Dave, if I might ask, I was going through, I know it seems kind of silly, but what is this, page 13? And it's, the vendor number 01-452-3100. Catalina wine mixer.
That was for, we have an event, which Friends is gonna reimburse us for.
Oh.
It's, the first annual, Jason, we actually had, he worked with Westchester University with students to pick their brains from the marketing class on advertising campaigns. We had to put in deposit down to hold the space. It's gonna be over at the Airport Museum in Muskogee. Bunch of vendors. It's kind of like the old Step Brothers movie thing. It's gonna be pretty cool.
It's not that old of a movie.
Is that gonna be open to, just a certain select group of people? Is it everybody?
I signed up.
I believe there was limited tickets, first of all for East Goshen residents only, and then, once they hit the limit, we opened it up to everybody.
Okay.
When is that?
September 13th. 6th.
Thank you.
It's gonna be a band, lots of vendors. Should be a good time.
All right.
I think that was the only question I had.
Any public comment? Questions?
There's a.
Question.
Yes,
Please come up.
please plug the microphone.
I don't think I'll need the mic.
For recording, we have to have you on the mic.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
Thank
sorry,
you.
man. I could,
Yeah, you just state your name, that's all.
Okay.
Thanks.
I could bring it back to you.
No, 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 I'll do it.
Been there, done that.
My name is William Reynolds and I'm a resident of the township. I'd like to know if there's a possibility of getting some of the information that are the items that are discussed in the township meetings ahead of the meetings themselves. Is there a website or?
Yeah, it's on the East Goshen website, so we post every agenda, usually at the latest Friday, but I usually shoot for Thursday before the meeting. So we have a meeting packet that's usually on the website by the Thursday before. So I think this time it was Friday. So I just posted it last Friday, but it is on the website. I don't know if you have an email, but I can send you the link.
Sure.
I can get your email address if it helps.
And then secondly, with regard to the financial items that are discussed, are those included as part of the offense?
The treasurer's report is in the online packet, correct?
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you.
Seems like yours. For some reason, it seems like Michelle's.
I'm backing off.
So Cody, so all in favor? Approving it?
I
Good.
Aye.
All right, thank you. All right, then we're on to old business, the Sorrel Hill Island Removal Paving Project.
Thank you.
Eric?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So we had a group of Sorrel Hill residents come to us. I forget the exact meeting. I think it was last November. It was approved by the board, but essentially they have an aesthetic island that is at the end of their cul-de-sac that is causing some issues with turnaround and being able to have the radius that's needed for turning around vehicles. We discussed it internally. We took it to the board. I think Mark Miller, Public Works Director, and I both agreed there's a few of them, quite a few of them throughout the township, and they are, they are a pain, particularly like for us, winter operations. I'm sure neighbors have other complaints about them, but so we agreed to take the island out because it is a dedicated public street. Now, when we made that assumption, it was our assumption internally that we were just taking out the island and repaving the cul-de-sac. I think there was some different thoughts that coming from Sorrel Hill that we were going to pave the entire street. That was not in our 2025 paving program that we were set to do. We did not have it in the PennDOT approved project for the summer paving program. So, looking at it, it is going to be a bit more as far as the cost if we were to do the whole street. But again, because of that difference of opinion, we just wanted to bring it back to the board and get your thoughts on it because we just don't know which way to proceed right now. We understand why the residents would want it, but it just wasn't in our heads when we were making that decision that that's what was going to happen. So just looking for a discussion and exactly what the board how the board would like to proceed. So. So if the board discusses and then we'll have. Yeah. Right.
Sorrel Hill, I see Marcus here, good. What was, when were they scheduled for their regular repaving? Remember, paving, we were. 2030. Okay. And PennDOT hasn't heard about this or anything. No, I did not. It was not on my project approval.
So just to clarify, when we do the summer paving project, we have to send the streets to PennDOT in order to recoup liquid fuels. So.
Sorry, Mark, you're gonna have to come up. Nobody can hear you. I'm sorry. We want Cody to at least be able to hear you.
Are you humming?
Michelle, Mike.
Apparently,
Maybe that's not all that.
Yeah, so the roads were paved by the developer back in 2015. We have an 18-year paving program. And when Derek and I talked, it was I was under the impression we're just taking the island out and paving that, and then go back.
I think that when they came in and asked for that, I think I was assuming that it was the same thing. So that's partly my fault for not getting clarification at the time, but I know that I was under the impression that we were just doing the cul-de-sac, so I propose. If it's amenable, I would say, let's go ahead and do this cul-de-sac this year and then move them up on the schedule to next year. If we can do that.
But my recollection is that that's all we approved, we cul-de-sac. Can you move, how's the road there?
It's a good road. In good shape, real good shape.
Just a little.
Yeah.
Okay. About how long is it?
Oh,
Give me a ballpark.
around a feet, 400 feet.
That's what. Okay.
The problem, the biggest expense is mill, because you're gonna have to mill it out. And, you know, so you're looking at $10,000 alone just for one machine. You know, we don't have, we're not ready to move on to other projects, so. Again, I would just do the center island, let it sit, base it, let it sit till next year, and then mill and pave it. That's my recommendation.
Mark, if you move it up that, you're looking at, you said 2030. So you're moving it in 5 years. What's the cost to the township moving it up 5 more years and all that?
It's not a call, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. It's
We're not
call-
getting the
you just-
lifespan out of the first paving.
I got you.
Yeah,
I mean, I thought you were talking about more, of we would just
No.
reshuffle streets that wouldn't.
Well, yeah, but
Yeah,
you're
gotcha.
not getting the full lifespan of what you
True.
spent the first time.
We did not, yeah, but yeah, true.
That's all.
And
It's-
there's respect.
It could be relevant, irrelevant. I don't know. I didn't know much.
Yeah.
In your cul-de-sac streets, you tend to get longer life out of them. when we build them
Yeah.
out.
Yeah. Mhm.
530 feet to the coast.
No, it is.
Here we go.
Eric's internet's faster than mine. Thank you.
But it's.
Any questions?
Oh, Cody, you have any questions? Or
No, I support Mark's recommendation. Thank you.
he's fine with what you have to say. All right, would you like to come up?
Thank you. My name is Bob Panero.
Yep.
I'm live in Sorrel Hill. I'm the treasurer of the homeowners association.
Okay,
Okay, and I was here at the last meeting,
all right.
and I agree with everything that's been said.
Okay, yeah, sure.
So, just to give a little bit of history, so the development started in December of 2008. I was the first one to move in, so that's and then you had other people that moved in after that. The builder did a top coat, I think Mark said, around 2015. The reason we would like to do it this year, but we certainly understand the constraints that the township has, is the driveways have not held up as good as the main road. So the driveways have a fair amount of sinking and damage. So we were going to do the driveways, obviously at our cost this year. That's one of the reasons we're hoping that we could get all the driveways done and the road. We certainly understand the constraints. Just the other thing that's important is that removing the island is very important because we have many of the vehicles come in, and now starting this year, I don't know why, there's a large school bus that comes in every day, doesn't pick up any children, but just comes through the neighborhood, has trouble coming around the island, and then leaves. And I'll have to follow up with the school district on that one. So we certainly understand the decision.
Mhm.
The reason we had requested, just to clarify it, is we're doing all the driveways, we're doing the island, and we thought it would be good to also get that done at the same time to kind of have all the disruption done this year. So that was the reason we certainly understand where the township is coming.
Mr. Panero, I'm sorry that this misunderstanding occurred, but the way I see it is, it's actually almost better if we do wait to do the paving, because at least that way it won't be a rush for everybody to get their driveways done at the same time. They can be done properly over time. We can still get that cul-de-sac knocked out. And it should allow more easy access for all of the construction vehicles that are gonna be coming through.
The driveways are gonna get done, I think, on a similar time, because we're gonna use one contractor to do it all, and they're all the driveways are in disrepair.
Hmm.
So that was the plan to do. Now luckily, I think the road is held up better than the driveways.
Yeah, I just drove it, just a couple days ago with
Right.
Mark. And so it didn't appear that there's a lot of, breakdown on
The main roads-
road.
Yeah, the main road's good, the driveways.
Yeah.
Not as good.
So understand that, we put in an application for a
Okay.
permit with PennDOT.
Okay,
It wasn't on that PennDOT application. It's very difficult to go back and amend it. It costs us a lot of money. If they can choose not to allow it, and then we would eat that cost.
Right.
And so that, and you, being a taxpayer, you wouldn't want that to be the case if possible,
Okay.
I'm sure.
so we still would go forward with the removal of the island in the summer of 25.
Yeah.
Okay,
Do you have an approximate month that you're gonna start doing the breakdown on that, Mark?
I would say like sometime in June.
So sometime in June.
If I could add, we would benefit if you would do your driveways first. And then let us top the road going out, because if we top the road and you have a paving contractor come in, he's just gonna tear up what we just put in. Okay, so do driveways first.
Not before the island removal, just before the
Before we.
paving next year. Yeah, just to.
Okay,
So we can take the island out now without you having the driveways done. I think what Mark was saying is definitely when you have the driveways done, do the driveways first next year. Try to do that.
They're gonna go this.
we're gonna do the driveways.
Oh, you
this
are.
summer.
I thought you were waiting.
So
That's
that,
fine.
okay, we do
Yeah.
the driveways this
Yeah,
summer.
Okay.
Does it
Sorry.
matter if we do the driveways before or after the island removal?
No, because we'll put the wearing course down next year, so it's not gonna.
So it doesn't matter.
No.
And then the thing that we had agreed to is disconnect electricity, because there's lights there.
Yep.
And we said we would
Yeah.
disconnect.
And I think I've been talking to Steven via email, Robbins, and so Mark and I will try to give you as best of days as we possibly can, so you have enough lag time to disconnect the electricity. Because yeah. I mean, I
So that's soon.
yep.
Yeah.
This is Stephen Robbins. Can I chime in? I apologize. I'm sorry I'm not at the meeting. I'm feeling a little under the weather this evening. Thank you, Bob, for showing up. And I listened to everything very carefully, what you said, and I appreciate the township's position. And I think it's a good suggestion. The paving contractor strongly suggested that we do the driveways first, for the very same reason that their equipment would definitely tear up a new paving job. So if it's June of 2026, the street is resurfaced, that would be great.
But Stephen, it's still fine to do, because if we do the island in June, most likely we're gonna do the driveways after.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Correct.
Okay, good.
Yep.
Okay.
You can get your electric. Pull out now, that would be a plus. And I'll reach out to Mr. Robbins. I'll give him at least notice that we're coming.
We'll do the electric now, or as soon as we can. Is there anything else we need to do really, besides that?
Yes, your neighbors have patience while we do it.
Okay, and then there's two nice trees there that but probably if the township wants to move them someplace, or I guess it's just it's up to you, they're two substantial trees.
I saw that.
Yeah, so if the township wants them. they
We
certainly-
bring it up at conservative tomorrow night if you want.
Yeah,
Maybe we can find out where we can, place them. Do you know what kind of trees off the top of the, covered? I didn't notice when we were.
Yeah, two maples.
Well, Eric is here from the Conservancy. You've got your shovel, right?
So can I just want to interject for one more moment, if I may. So Derek, you'll try and give us some sort of timeline regarding the island when that removal will occur.
Yeah, well, I mean, preliminarily, we're thinking sometime in June, but as Mark said, we'll try to give you a more pinpointed date when we can. But I think what was decided tonight from your neighbor Bob here was trying to get that electric out like now, sooner rather than later.
I'll get working on that ASAP.
And I don't think we need a motion because Mark just kind of schedules these streets administratively as the projects go on. So this is just some discussion.
We'll send a note out to everyone. The timing is sometime in June. Let them know.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for
Yeah.
understanding.
Thank you, commissioners, for your dedication and hard work. You guys do a terrific job. And thank you, Derek.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. So we're listening here, the new business, Jason with the Miracle Field Agreement. Come on up.
Miracle place.
Jason the Miracle.
Well, good evening, everybody. For the benefit of the public, the township is currently considering renovating a single baseball field we have at a park and converting it through a partnership with the Miracle League of Chester County into a 100% accessible all abilities baseball, softball sports field. So tonight we're considering the actual agreement between the two entities. So I guess just in terms of general updates is Depuy Synthes has the updated user agreement draft, which for all intents and purposes is the agreement that was in place in 2009 and executed up until today, flipping out Great Valley Little League and putting in Miracle League for all intents and purposes. So I would anticipate within the next 7 to 10 days that they'll sign off on it, and then we'll be good to go with that. So in terms of the actual agreement they have before you, the big bullet points are, the first one is that just in terms of the agreement, the township does maintain ownership of the entire tax parcel, the parkland, any facilities we put on the land, any improvements we put on the land. And the MLCC is just getting rights to use some of the field for a certain amount of time, which I'll mention here in a second. So both entities, between Parks and Rec and the Chester County Miracle League agreed to in principle, the agreement you have before you. So in terms of some of the key points is the first one is tonight you'll be taking a look at the engineering. The Miracle League has agreed to pay for the $50,000, which is general stage 1 and stage 2 engineering. Those are 2 pieces, which will include a site design, a cost estimate, and then graphics, so that we can make an informed decision about the exact amenities that will go in, any constraints we might have, and then most importantly, begin to talk to grant funding to get the project off the ground. The other big piece, and if we actually pull this off, this would be a miracle. But this will be a big project, $1 million, maybe 1.2 million. So we do have some very significant grant programs which will fund between $750K and $1 million of that project cost. It's the LSA grant. And we've had conversations with them about this project. They say it's a slam dunk for the full amount. And the Miracle League of Chester County will be submitting the township match portion of it. So, for example, whole project costs 1.2 million. We get the grant for 1 million. Chester County Miracle League is going to pay for the other $200,000, which would be wonderful. Now, to make it a real partnership, their piece of it is that they get dedicated access to the primary, the peak times that any sports league would want. So that's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So in the agreement, they would have first refusal to use those dates. So, if XYZ organization wants to put it on a Friday, the Miracle League will get priority time framing to schedule out those priority dates in January when we start to do those kinds of things. we would utilize the other dates on the calendar, so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then anything that the Miracle League does not want to use, we could fall into. So, in terms of the maintenance, wish Mark Miller, oh, he is still here. Mark Miller gave us the figure of approximately $10,000 in annual maintenance, which would be cutting the grass, which we do currently. You know, if there are bathrooms, taking out the bathroom or taking out the trash, cleaning the toilets, and other kinds of things, about $10,000 in annual costs. The Miracle League every year will cut us a check for $3,000 to offset that. And through revenues generated by our using it through our standard permitting process, we would net approximately $10,000 in addition to that 13. So our annual expenses for maintenance would be covered by actual dollars coming in each year through revenues. For long-term maintenance, it would be a project like our playground and our ball fields and everything else we own. It should go onto a sinking fund. So whatever the end of project cost is, $1 million. You know, the field itself is a 13-year lifespan on the books. That's the warranty. They typically last 15 to 18. So once the project gets going, we look at all those things, we would want to put this onto a sinking fund. So another 10 to 15 years, you know, we have a couple of pennies set aside to do reinvestments. The other piece for to benefit the Miracle League is that for in the example I use, they are investing $200,000 in a project. Their rental fees to use the field would be waived at 110% of that initial investment. So that's a primary field. We typically charge $20 to use our grass fields in the park. A turf field, you could charge anywhere from 35 to 40 for field use. So we would set ours in this example at $35 per hour. And the Miracle League would use the fields without an actual fee up to the $200,000 mark. So in terms of forecasting, it would be a roughly 6 to 7 years of free quote unquote use for their initial investment of $200,000 in the field. From that point, they would be charged 80% for the next 3 years, and every year after that, the full fee, whatever it is at that given time. One thing I don't have on here, which I think we should have, is there's a termination clause in the agreement. So it's basically 30 days. If either party wants to terminate the agreement, has to be in writing, 30 days later, you can terminate. But one thing that is not in here, which I think we should consider, and we get make an amendment tonight if we do pass the motion, would be there should be a renegotiation clause in the agreement. So 5 years, 10 years down the road, the township and the Miracle League should come together and take another look at this. And we fully expect to be a wonderful partnership, but I think we owe it to them and they owe it to us to have that in there. So my recommendation, we set that negotiation date at 7 years from execution. So that way they've expended their initial investment and then we come back to the table and take a look at it again. John?
Where is this 30 days? Sorry, where is this 30-day?
The 30 days is, if you go into term,
Okay.
it's all the way at the bottom under term.
Yeah.
And then flip over to that page.
Okay, I'm good with that, thank you.
Yep.
Can we also have in there that this could be reviewed every 7 years? Or do we not need that then?
I think if you're doing the term in the contract, I mean, you just make it a 7-year term, right, Mark? I mean, you wouldn't need to say,
Want to do it? Yeah.
you wouldn't need to state this has to be reviewed every 7 years. You would just make the contract a 7-year length, correct?
It could be anything, yeah, as long as we can
Yeah.
terminate with 30 days notice.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
While we're talking about kind of tweaking things a little bit, page 3, number 10. The release. Can we add elected officials? To the people who were. People who were released from. From all. Unconditionally released, elected officials.
Elected officials, that sounds better than supervisor.
Yeah,
Sounds
some people may not understand what a supervisor is.
I agree.
And Barbara, I know you had a couple questions too, didn't you?
I was just, it wasn't immediately clear to me, the last bullet point on the first page, that with the language, the East Goshen Township will approve all MLCC sponsorship packages. It seems like the language should say has the right to approve or that all of the sponsorship packages need approval, rather than, it almost sounds like it's an automatic approval. Rather than approval is needed by East Goshen Township for.
Yeah, that is on, so the bullet point is kind of for the purpose of the meeting. If you go to page 2, under number 6, sponsorship packages. That has the actual language. And
I think the language was very similar and it just seemed like it needed a tiny bit of tweaking.
okay, so.
Yeah.
We may do that, so in terms of the sponsorships, there's the American League of Chester County. Is a nonprofit, and so they'll be soliciting sponsorships, just like Friends of East Goshen does. For their own benefit, for their own operational expenses. So that could be, all of us donating $10, $25, $50, whatever. And this is for, in terms of the actual facility, because we own the facility, it's our facility, we want to make sure that anything that shows up on the field, et cetera, that we've approved it, Not that I think there'll be some rogue sponsorship that we would, have to decline.
Right, and that's why I thought if it said East Goshen. Has the right to, has. The language will makes it almost sound like it's an assumed thing that we're going to approve it, as opposed that final approval is ours.
Yeah, okay.
So I just thought that,
I'll get with the township solicitor and we'll.
thank you.
We'll tweak.
And I agree with you, because even the verbiage. At 6 on
Yeah.
page 2 into 3, it says East Ocean Village.
Will
all
approve,
sponsorship
as
are-
opposed to has the
Yeah.
right to approve, or has something.
I think we can say shall be subject to.
Yes.
approval.
So it'll be,
Perfect.
shall be subject.
We
Perfect.
knew you'd have the language.
That's why you're here.
You earned your $1 for tonight.
Hey, Jason.
Yeah.
Would there be advertisements on the fences that you could sell?
So that'll be a discussion point between.
Would you want that on the fences? I don't know.
We currently don't do it in the park. And the reason is they're municipal fields. There isn't one nonprofit entity that uses that field. So I think that would lend itself more to that. I think that'll be a discussion down the line, once we have an idea of what the site looks like.
They have it West Goshen.
And they have a ton probably, right?
Oh, yeah, you know what I'm talking about? Owens Field.
Yeah.
All the way down the road.
You do it at the high school too.
Then they have the high school. I didn't another way to offset costs, because there's maintenance fees, about 10 grand, about the field maintenance itself inside the fence maintenance. And then how long does that turf last? 15 years, let's say. What's it cost to replace that turf? Is that the biggest issue that you've had in 15 years?
Oh,
Is
yeah,
turf
without a
replacement?
doubt. So the turf itself is probably $500,000 for the project. alone.
500,000 to replace the turf.
I would assume so.
That's what you have to say about for.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's why, even with the playground, the port and play surface,
Mhm.
when we put it in 2017, that's a $700,000 playground. The surface alone was $225,000. So we of course got $500,000 ballpark, so about 2/3 of the cost through grants to pay for that Cadillac of a playground. So even when we should do the sinking fund, of course, but in thinking 15 years down the road, if we have to replace the surface.
Yeah.
That we're gonna apply for grants again.
Would it,
15 years down the road, this relationship would have gone on, there'll be pictures and video of kids in wheelchairs playing ball, it's gonna be an easier sell to replace the field.
well, Jason kind of stole my thunder, but I was gonna say that it gives us, it definitely gives us leverage going through this process and having it in the background to get more grants at that time. Plus, if you continue to do 7-year contracts, 7+7, right on the cusp of that 15-year, then we could start talking again and see what's everybody's interest to go for the third.
And then this project, it's kind of in the back where no one knows you're there.
Yeah.
And people use it. And you don't even know they're using it.
Dog walkers back there.
All kinds of stuff. Would it be locked? And to keep people out from just randomly using it, I guess, just because it's the highware item that's just like grassy.
Yeah, so my vision would be that the actual driveway is paved.
Mhm.
And there's parking, there'll be a significant number of ADA van parking spots.
Mhm.
There'll be some type of entryway into the field, so like having there, like if we land the Phillies, it would be the Colt Philly fanatic, boom, right there when you walk up. So yes, the field itself will be locked. So my guess is any facility would be inside the fence line. Because there's still the trails that go past
Yeah.
down along the creek. And we want people to still be able to have access to that. So at the street, it would not be locked with my assumption,
Yeah,
but
okay, yeah.
anything of high dollar value would be locked.
Yeah, because there is a big park around it that I don't know what you really gets used. People do walk around there a lot.
Oh, yeah.
That sounds.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so, and I obviously I want this to happen, but I don't want to be totally rosy-eyed, glasses on.
Mhm.
So for the LSA, we'll apply this November, and hopefully we get it, we can sign contracts and move forward with it. If for some reason we don't get the project money this year, then we'll just wait a calendar year. Or we'll apply for other grants which go towards it. So if we sign the agreement with the Miracle League, they're fully aware that this could take 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, whatever, so.
Okay, I have a quick question about concessions. So what kind of concessions do you envision here?
Well, stars will be alcohol free,
Absolutely.
none of that stuff.
Absolutely.
That will depend on the cost estimate. So if the cost estimate comes in low, it could be an actual building with electrical where you could have some better concessions. If it comes back, cost estimate comes back higher, it could be a shed and they're just selling Skittles and candy bars. So that.
Like a
to me-
movie theater concession, something like that.
Yeah.
Simple, easy like that.
And who cleans all that up? Is that gonna be on Public Works?
Daily cleanup would be on the Miracle League. So like they're gonna have to put their junk in the trash can. And then Mark and the guys, when they come to cut the grass, take out the trash.
Okay.
I
And
guess you
then
need a dumpster too.
will there be a winterization of that turf? Because if we can preserve the turf with a lockdown tarp, then it could last well beyond 15 or 18 years.
I'll have to get back to that one. I don't know if they lock it down.
Okay.
Cause it is a large, it's probably 20,000 square feet.
And then, with the other companies in the area, like Synthes, did they have any interest in supporting it?
We actually haven't had too many of those conversations yet, because we don't have any site design.
Once you get that, then.
We have to have something in their
Sure.
hands, they
Okay.
kind of have the vision with us.
Alright, that sounds good. I mean, they're right there.
Yeah, I
And
mean, I think, I'm.
people that are their
very certain
customers
we'll
might be there.
So Jason, I'm assuming there's gonna be electrical, but is there gonna be lights around the field or?
So in the packet, you have what is planned to scope out for, to scope out. So there could be a stage 1, stage 2, but so in terms of the amenities, there's the actual turf field, parking, some type of formal entryway, 2 dugouts, 1 for each team, restroom, and important for special needs would be a shower. And we're thinking an old school scoreboard shaped in a Liberty Bell, kind of cool. Something of a press box potentially, flagpoles for national anthem. An area for playgrounds, because typically it becomes a destination for the American League specifically. They'll come on a Friday, they'll go to a hotel here, they're gonna stay all weekend long, and they play 2 or 3 games in a weekend. So it's not like Great Valley Lake where you pop into the park from 5 to 7 and you go home. It's very different. It's much more of a travel kind of experience,
Destination.
destination, because this would be the only field in Chester County for American League kids. So they'd be coming from Delaware County, Chesco, you name it, they'd be flying here, and they stay for a whole weekend. So back to the next point is that there's also typically like a little playground on site with a pavilion, so that the families can eat their lunch, go on the playground with the other siblings, play some baseball in the field, that kind of thing. So it becomes a fully engaged environment. And yeah, so maybe potentially electrical, sewer, water, and meeting lights.
Yeah, so I mean, you'd have to have electrical for the bathroom anyway. Is any of that in the $10,000? That's totally different, okay, because that's all the sewer and water and electric will be in the township.
Cody, do you have any questions?
No questions. Thanks, Jason. I'm supportive of the project.
Okay, then
Thank
I would like to, if I'm right, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
make a motion to, to sign the contract forming with the amendments discussed to form a partnership with, East Goshen Township and the, MLCC partnership, to move forward with this project.
Second motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'm sorry, any public comment or discussion? Everybody right?
Okay,
Then all in favor?
aye,
Aye.
thanks, Jason.
Thank you, Jason.
I think we need to also do
Aye.
the engineering services.
That was, I was thinking.
The actual vehicle, because notice our township engineer is the $50,000 the township would pay upfront.
Right.
To get.
Reimbursed.
No, to get, and we'd be reimbursed.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I'm gonna make a motion also to, pay, to authorize payment to Panoni for the engineering costs associated with the development and design of the Miracle Field project.
Second. Any public comment or about anything on that? All in favor?
Aye,
Aye.
All right. Aye.
Aye.
thank you.
Everyone agrees. Thank you. Appreciate it. A lot of work. Yeah, no, sounds good. We have the Applebrook final escrow release.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I'm actually just gonna give my spiel right now for the next 3 agenda items. These are all escrow release. You have to make separate motions, but these
Yep.
are all escrow releases. Different land developments in different stages. Obviously, for the first one, it's final. And then there's also the 1010 Hershey Mill Millstone and then 301 Reservoir Timber Mill. These all been reviewed by engineer internally, and they are recommended for escrow release as spelled out in the package.
Mr. Chairman, I'm gonna move that the Board of Supervisors authorize the partial release of the financial security held for public improvements related to the development of 1010 Hersheyville Road in the amount of $468,005.29, reducing the
First one
financial.
was Applebrook.
She can
Well,
wait.
I
for
can-
that.
All right, all
I
right.
can do it in order. So in the amount of 40.
Want to make sure we don't forget.
I had it in my hand, $468,005.29, reducing the financial security to $1,125,375.58.
Second.
Okay,
We were doing all one motion or?
Yeah, you have to do separate
Separate.
motions.
All separate. Okay.
so we have to vote on.
Yes.
Separately.
Yes.
Okay, so I have no questions.
I haven't.
Any questions? Any public comment on that one? All right, do we have a?
I did second.
All right. Do we have a vote?
Okay, aye.
Aye.
Cody?
Aye.
All right, we're all
Mr.
good.
Chairman, I move the Board of Supervisors authorize the final release of financial security held for improvements related to the Applebrook Golf Club turf maintenance area project located at 100 Line Road in the amount of $2,000 and allowing the account to be closed by the escrow agent.
Great. Any public comment or questions on that one?
Do we have a second?
I
Do
second.
we have a second? All in favor? There we go.
Aye.
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 Cody?
Finally, Mr. Chairman, I move that the Board of Supervisors to offer second partial release of the financial security held for public improvements related to the development of 301 Reservoir Road in the amount of $152,708, reducing the financial security to $281,136 $1,024.30.
Second.
Any public comment or questions on that also?
None.
None? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? And continued. All right. And the last one under that would be the planning commission letter regarding comprehensive plan update.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So we did get a letter from the planning commission, as Kelly had started the process with them. Every 10 years, it is, required to take a look by the Pennsylvania Municipalities Planning Code, that we take a look at our, comprehensive plan. The last one was done in 2015. Now, when I say take a look at the comprehensive plan, there are various ways to do that. There are specific limited review, which given the circumstance of right now, we felt would be best. And then there's also people that go through another huge comprehensive plan update. So we're looking for, staff had kind of moved forward thinking that we were going to do sort of a limited review of the current 2015 plan and then do updates as needed to that plan and kind of review it internally with staff and with the planning commission. And this kind of takes a financial burden off us because it does get a little costly, these huge comprehensive plans. So we're looking to do it again internally with staff and planning commission. We will have some, input along the way, but Kelly is online as well. But the planning commission just wanted to send a letter letting the board know what they're doing and making sure that you're supportive of the process going forward.
Derek, I'm the liaison for planning. At the last meeting, they actually asked us to ask them to review the plan
And to,
and,
Guide them.
and to what?
and to guide them.
So
So that
they
they
wanted a
can-
little guidance from us, and I think we can do that, but, apparently they think it's the right procedure for us as the board to ask them to review the plan. And I want to say, I think, all of the people that I talked to there are in agreement that it should be done in-house this time. It was done, outside last time, and it was extremely expensive, is my recollection. So it would be, I think would be a lot better off if it was done internally. There are parts of it that have to be updated. There's data about population density, a bunch of maps, all of which I think have to be updated, but that should be within the purview of the codes department and staff.
And I wanted to bring up that Dave and I talked about this today a little bit too. Past boards have not planned for a comprehensive plan to be paid for. There is no place in our budget that this recurring project is covered. So nobody has been putting money away for this. So past boards have not put money away for it. We don't have money to do $100,000 review for a comprehensive plan this year. So as long as we are adhering to the spirit of the requirements, and that's to have public input in reviewing everything and in making sure that we are guiding the planning commission as to what we're looking for, having them have public input and not rushing the process, because that's the worst thing that you can do. But rather give them time to review the plan and then we'll have to also go to the Park and Rec comp plan as well, do the same exercise, if you will. But by the same token, I think we need to start setting some money aside for this for the future. So Dave and I talked about a possible plan moving forward, a place to put this money, because it's not an actual tangible item until it's bound together in a book. But we talked about using the infrastructure sustainability fund so that, because this is directly related to our infrastructure, because this is it's the township plan. So by putting aside monies every year, like we do for a truck or for the windows, whatever that happens to be, we should also be setting money aside specifically for this purpose. So I would like to see us moving forward in the 2026 budget. I'd like to see us putting aside the first installment of whatever that amount of money could possibly be. So if it's gonna be $120,000, we should be then putting aside an appropriate amount of money each year,
So-
between now and then.
So Cody had a question about how much it was in 2015 in the chat. I'm not actually sure about us in 2015. I knew that West Goshen was.
I couldn't find all of the different
Jason,
places that they expended it to. It didn't have a normal line item.
Same ballpark, 80,000.
80,000.
And we had a Chester County BPP grant for half.
So 80,000, and then there was a $40,000 grant. That sounds
That
about right.
kind
to
of
me.
lines
10
up,
years
because I
ago.
asked West
10 years,
Goshen,
10
if
years
they,
ago.
in 2019, theirs was 65,000, and
Yeah.
they got a grant for 25,000.
And my understanding is a lot of it's based on population.
Mhm.
As well as geographic size.
Sorry, Cody, go ahead.
I was just curious on how this will impact grants from the county by not updating it or not getting a brand new, I guess updating, but not getting a brand new one.
We're gonna say it's a brand new one after we update it.
Yeah, I mean, the county does like, I mean, if you do a certain way with the grant, the county is involved in the process and it usually takes 18 months. You have to go to committee meetings. They do like that more. I'm not gonna lie to you. Whether it affects us from a grant standpoint, I have no idea.
So is that something that maybe Mark can look into for us? Or,
Well,
County grants.
oh, go ahead, Kelly.
Thanks. At my in my previous position, our comprehensive plan was previously redone for the last time in 1988. There had been a couple addendums, but nothing that fully redid the comprehensive plan, and we were very often getting grants. Does grant funding absolutely look at whether the comprehensive plan is in keeping with what the grant is funding? Absolutely. Does that absolutely help if it's updated and it reflects current trends and what the township's currently going to do? Absolutely as well. But not doing a full comprehensive plan at this point when we have done one within the past 10 years, and things need to be updated as far as census and populations and different subdivisions that have been done in the maps. I think so long as we're updating that, but I don't believe that anything has actually changed as far as future land use proposals. It's my experience that we should be okay.
So my concern is that I want to be sure that if we do a review, that we take this language quite seriously, that the comprehensive plan be, that the review must be intentional, meaningful, and properly documented. And I would say with input from the public,
yes,
with input from each of the ABCs and regular input from the board at each step of the review. So it's not just a haphazard review, that it's really a comprehensive review, not.
absolutely. It has to be intentional.
And Kelly, correct me if I'm wrong, but we're also not under a December 31st, 2025 deadline. Now that we're starting the process, we're okay to say that we started the process in 10 years. But if we're thinking that the plan, it's taking a little bit longer because we're doing our due diligence, I mean, it could spill over into next year. Because I remember when I did this before, it went 18 months. So I think it's okay.
The comprehensive plan that I started in my previous position is still pending. They are still working through it because they are doing a full update. But again, from 19.
I just wanted to bring that up.
This is
not expected, like,
all that's expected from us that we have it under review within the next 10 years or 10 years from the last update. So
Okay.
no, there's no deadline by December. But When we talk about, getting input from all these other agencies in the township, et cetera, I think that was kind of what the board was looking for. Are we looking to just update the information that's currently there to reflect the current, census information, current maps, et cetera, and not making any changes? Or are we looking for a full update, which I feel like I might be getting conflicting information at the moment.
Well, could we agree that we do need to move forward with this with an intention and to include the public input as well? Is it possible that we can start the process by directing the planning commission to update the statistical information with current information and perhaps go through and acknowledge what things have been accomplished in the past 10 years and which of the things that have not been accomplished should still be considered for projects moving forward. And at the same time, they can start the process of getting that public input. And then after we have direct them to start that process, they can maybe give us an update at some point in a few months, say by September. And then at least then we can start this process with them and then move forward with each of the ABCs differently. Or in the same way, but not on the same schedule.
It seems like it would be good to document in a way that we can all agree on and like what our plan for this is. I don't feel like it is. I would want to vote right now on just saying, let's direct them to do this without a clear outline of this is what we're going to do, what we need to do, how we're going to make it intentional, how we're going to involve the public and the ABCs and the board. I think we need to take at least a time to kind of set, this is how we're going to address this.
Maybe we could each send our thoughts to Derek.
Yeah, I mean, because
in an email so that he understands where each of us are on this.
one of the things I'm thinking of when Michelle said other ABCs, I mean, it really, that could get a little dicey at that point. You might as well just have a subcommittee, like an actual comprehensive plan committee, so that everybody has input involved in the plan, like people from Parks and Rec, people from Conservancy, or whatever the case may be. Otherwise, you're just gonna spin your wheels.
You just, they send their thoughts. I mean, I don't think it has to be part of a committee, but they need an avenue for saying, these are things that are important to Conservancy. These are things that are important to be.
Yeah, I think that's perfectly.
But I think we need to put something clear and orderly to give to
the planning commission.
To the planning commission.
I agree with that. I mean, we could spend the next couple of weeks doing that and then maybe we can have it collated so that Derek can send it out to us prior to the next meeting. And then we can send a letter at that point to the planning commission.
And maybe part of that conversation can be how we're going to prepare for a comprehensive plan at some point in the future. Maybe it's not 10 years from now because we aren't doing a comprehensive plan. We're doing a revision, but we need to start thinking about when do we want to do it and what are we going to do in future.
Okay, so then I would say that we need to just send our thoughts to Derek, then let him collate them into an email to us, and then we can ask the planning commission to move forward with that intention after we've chimed in on that. What do you think?
I mean, I'm also gonna have, I also want to bring Kelly and Mark into it as far as keeping them abreast, because I want to make sure that we're hitting what we need to legally and then having more clear direction. So my mind's a little bit all over the place trying to keep up with this. So are you saying that you're just going to send me your thoughts and then we're going to put together as a board a letter stating exactly what we want from this comprehensive plan process to the planning?
Yeah, if we could just have you send a quick email to Ernie just saying that we're gonna take the next 3 weeks or so. And then that way we move forward intentionally without just so that they have direction.
And then we have to make sure that letter, though, again, jives with what we need to accomplish. That's all. Okay.
So we don't need to.
Are you all right on any of that, Mark?
Yeah, no, that's
Okay,
fine.
okay.
That's fine. I was gonna say, I think the Chester County Planning Commission. I mean, they offer obviously resources if you were gonna completely redo the comprehensive plan, but I think they offer advice on what it takes to update the plan as well.
Okay. Kelly, you have anything else, or do you want to talk offline about maybe just? Okay,
Yeah, oh no, well, once the board has their thoughts together of how they want us to move forward, we'll move forward however, however they'd like us to proceed.
Okay.
So we'll move forward from there. Perfect.
thank you.
Yep.
Great. Moving on, any standing issues or projects?
No, the only thing I have is we're finally, I think, due to get back on track with the meetings next month. So June 17th, if everybody's okay with that, that's how I was going to move forward.
Okay. Any other matters? And then there'd be any public comment tonight on anything or any other concerns from anyone? Liaison reports? Barbara, do you have any? You already got yours, John?
I'm gonna be going to the Westchester Cog on Thursday, so I'll send you all an email on that when I get back.
Then recorded correspondence, reports of interest, if there's any of them.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to adjourn.
I second the motion.
From code. All in favor?
Aye. Got you, Cody.
Bye. Thank you, everyone.
Cheers.
Thank you.